This lesson is going to teach you how to make selections by colors. You're going to open up the Select by Color PSD file from your network folder. Before you begin, you're going to save the file with your name in front of the file. So you're going to go to File, Save As, or Control-Shift and S, and then put your name in front of the file and save it in your folder location. The first thing that we're going to do is press the letter W on the keyboard, and we're going to open up the drawer for those tools. You want to choose the Quick Selection tool, and now we want to change our brush size. Right now, the current brush size is minus 30. Yours may be a different size. We're going to change it to 50 pixels. And we want the brush to be hard, so our hardness setting is going to be 100%. I'm going to make sure that this option right here is selected first. This is the initial selection tool. So I'm going to take my quick selection and drag it across the flower. Next, I'm going to lower the brush size to 20 pixels. I'm going to press the left bracket key down so that my brush reduces to 20 pixels. I want to subtract out this middle portion of the selection. So to subtract, I'm going to hold down the Alt key and press on that yellow center part of the circle. Next, I'm going to use the color replacement tool, which is hiding underneath the brush. So I can open the brush drawer with the letter B, and then I can go down to color replacement. I'm going to change the color of my foreground to a shade of blue, and to do that, I click over here in my foreground picker, and I'm going to give you a code to type in for the hex numbers. It is going to be 2E3192. It's a shade of blue, and I'm going to press OK. I'm going to get a larger brush, so I'm going to use my right bracket key, and I get my brush a little bit bigger. I'm going to make my brush about 70 pixels, and as I click and drag across my selection, it's going to recognize whatever is that color, such as orange, and it will replace it with a blue. What you're going to notice is that it remembers the depth and the lighting within the picture so that it doesn't just paint over and make a solid blue color. Next, we're going to deselect, so Control D on your keyboard, and we want to press the letter W again to get the magic wand. Right now I have my quick selection tool up, so I'm going to press Shift and W to get the magic wand. I want to make sure that contiguous is turned on. Contiguous means that whatever I click on has to be touching, and I'm going to click on this background color here that's the yellow. Now if I have contiguous selected, it's only selecting the yellow that is actually touching. So you'll notice that the yellow between her flower and her arm doesn't show, and the arm down here. So I'm going to use my Add key, so I'm going to press Shift to get the Add option, and I'm going to click in the yellow areas that did not get selected. So I'm going to click inside the yellow between her fingers. Now, with that selected, I can make an adjustment layer change. So I'm going to go down to the bottom of the black and white circle. I'm going to choose Hue and Saturation, and I'm going to change the hue to 85 pixels, or 85, so it's going to turn it to green. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this file again, and you'll notice that it didn't get all of the orange pixels around her. So if I want to change it, I can change it to a different color that's going to pick up a little bit more. We're going to leave it at 85 for today, just so that we all know what we're doing. And I'm going to go to Save again, so Control S, and then Control W will exit out of our document. That is how we are going to do selections by color. Next, you're going to open up the file called Multiple Selections. It looks like a door with a keyhole in it, and we are going to save this into your file with your name in front of it, and then we're going to press the letter M on the keyboard. If I don't press M, I can come up here and select the marquee, and I want to get the elliptical marquee. I'm going to make a circular selection here, so I'm going to start to drag my mouse. I'm not releasing the mouse yet. I'm going to hold down the space bar so it allows me to shift things over, and then I'm going to try to get that circle as perfect as I can, inside that selection. Next, I'm going to switch to the L key on my keyboard. L gets the lasso. I still have my selection made, so I'm going to get the polygonal lasso because it gets straight lines, which we want these to be straight lines when we make our selection. I need to add to the selection, so my hotkey to add is Shift, and I'm going to click inside here. And I'm going to come back and close it out. And when I release the mouse and I release the Shift key, now it has made an unusual selection using multiple tools. I'm going to go down to the bottom of my layers panel, and I have a white rectangle with a black circle inside. I'm going to click on that, and that's going to create a layer mask. But when I do, it masked out the wrong thing. So I'm going to undo that. And this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to invert my selection, meaning that I want everything to be selected but that black area. So I'm going to Shift Control I. I can also go ahead and do Select Inverse. And now when I create the layer mask, you're going to see that we can look in the keyhole and you can see the clouds behind it. Okay, you're going to do Control S, save your work, and then Control W to exit this file. The next one that we want to do is replacing the background photo. So we are going to close this file out. I'm going to open up, let's close this out. I'm going to open up the replace background photo. And the first thing I'm going to do is select the layer that has the dog in it. So I make sure that's selected. I'm going to press the magic wand and then go to select subject. When I click on select subject, now it's going to select the dog. And this time I'm going to add a layer mask to it. So what that did is it allows me to see the dog, and the mask hides the rest of that dog layer. So the new background is visible. We're going to save this by doing Control S. If you didn't save it the first time with your name in front of it, do Control Shift S, and then you're going to close out of that document. The next file that we want to open up is called Combine images with the blend modes. And so what we want to do is we're going to change the blending modes of these layers so that we can see through them. I'm going to be on the leaves layer, and I'm going to change the top blending mode. So I'm going to come up to the layers panel, I'm going to find normal, and I'm going to change it to screen. And what screen does is it allows me to see the flamingos through it. Now I'm going to go down to the bottom and add a layer mask. My layer mask is going to be white right now, meaning that I can see everything in that layer. I'm going to press the letter D on my keyboard to get default colors. And if white is your foreground color over here on the left side, we're going to switch it and change it to black so that black is on top. I'm going to press the letter B on my keyboard to get my paintbrushes up. And I may need to switch and choose the regular paintbrush. And I want the we want to change and paint over the flamingo's head to make it appear so that we don't see the leaves on top of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm hiding the leaves that are on that part. To do that, I'm going to paint with black and trace along the flamingo's head so that it removes and it's hiding the leaves that we see in that layer. Okay, so I painted over his head, and then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a hue and adjustments layer. So I'm going to click on a new adjustment layer, which is down here at the bottom. I'm going to choose hue and saturation, and I'm going to move the sliders according to these numbers. The hue slider is going to be -16, the saturation slider is going to be 17, and the lightness is going to stay 0. When I get that and I press enter, you're going to notice that it changes the colors of what we've got. You're going to press Control S, and that is where you're going to save your file and close out. Control W, and you're going to upload these to Google Classroom.